Welcome back, or welcome to the Get Mental podcast. My name is Dave Matthews, and I am here with Azariah Rusher. Azariah, where does this podcast find you?
Well, I'm currently in Boston on a getaway trip away from my usual lifestyle, tennis and all, academics, whatever that consists of. But I'm in New England chilling out. So happy to make time for today.
Love it. Azariah is our ambassador. I was talking with Azariah off camera, just kind of all about everything that's going on here within his life. Obviously, we just launched our app this week, so we're really excited about that to kind of get mental fitness out there. But just a really quick introduction with Azariah. This man has done a lot. I really don't know where he finds the time to sit down and do podcasts like these, but Azariah was a 2024 ACC champion, as well as an all ACC academic team All-American. He's also on SAC, the executive team. He's a community service chair as well as co-chair for the ACC out of Florida State. Man, I really don't know where you find the time to sit down. I'm in Los Angeles, California. I've seen this man twice now. We've gone out to dinner. I've seen him play matches, etc., for UTR PTT tournaments, where he's come out here to Los Angeles, California, and it's been amazing, man.
Totally.
So tell us about your background. Obviously, you're an ambassador here within Hearts and Minds and really just representing sports psychology. Not to get into like why we chose you, but why is mental fitness important to you? And then I really want to get into your background and kind of where you come from and how you made it to Florida State as a men's tennis player.
Yeah, it actually all ties together because mental fitness is the only reason why I'm here at Florida State and in the current position that I am in. Yeah, I find, mental, the psychology part of really everything, but specifically tennis, is so important. Without it, you can't necessarily improve, right? How you're training practices, how you're showing up to matches, how you're treating coaches, parents, everybody that's behind you. It sounds super complex when you hear of it, and I feel like a lot of people are like scared, and I kind of was before I went into my first mental coaching session with Trevor a while back. But it is the basis and foundation of a healthy lifestyle in sport, because it can get stressful real fast. So that's where that kind of comes from. In terms of background, should I get into a little story time, start to present moment?
Yeah, I would love to, but wherever you want to start, man, whether it's childhood or the first time you picked up a tennis racket, I'd love to hear it.
All right. Well, the first time I picked up a tennis racket was when I was 4 years old. I was lucky enough to move into a house that actually had a tennis court in its backyard. And I remember just training every day. And I say training like my dad would have me go out in court and play and hit serves, and he'd feed balls to me and we'd mess around. But it very quickly turned into this serious regimen of like, hey, we want to get better at this. We're working towards a goal here. And I just remember getting up and like, okay, let's go practice. Let's go try to improve this shot. A couple of years go by and, I've built up some skills. I've developed this muscle memory to hold a racket, which now feels like a part of my body. I tell people like it's an extension of my limbs, the tennis racket, and played tournaments throughout like 10, 11, 12. And I quickly had this love kind of for competition. Now it was nerve wracking for me. And back then I didn't know what those feelings were, but the joy of being out on court and hitting tennis balls was something I knew I liked to do. I played a ton of tennis growing up, and I was quick to feel burnout by the age of almost like 17. So throughout the time I traveled, and we sacrificed a lot as a family to make this tennis dream come alive, which kind of earlier on, moving back for a second, when I was 7 or 8 years old, I started creating goals, right? Where is tennis going to take me? I remember I sat down with my father and we, okay, D1 college tennis, top 10 program in the nation, thereafter professional tennis. These were ideas and thoughts we've had for the longest time. So when I hit some roadblocks later down my journey, that's kind of where mental fitness came into play, because that allowed me to continue on this path of excellence within tennis. And of course, there's the details and minute injuries along the way, even one that included 8 months out. But at the end of the day, it's been the mindset that has taken me all the way now to 21, Florida State, achieving the goal of a top 10 program, D1 tennis, in a southern region. So that's been nice.
That's absolutely amazing. So even when you were a kid, you said 7, 8 years old, you kind of sat down with your father, started to get more serious about tennis, and wrote down the goal verbatim to go into what was Division I tennis in the East region.
Pretty much, yeah. We were actually looking at a lot of ACC schools at the time,
Yeah.
and they were kind of top 10 in the nation. But I always loved the South, just the warm weather. And we knew, okay, if I wanted to get better at being in a place where you can play tennis all year round, which ended up actually allowing our whole family to move to Florida because my younger brother plays too. But this whole move was kind of aligning with these goals set many years prior. And yes, we had this in the back of our minds, like every single time I take the court or play a tournament. And it's funny. I remember specifically having Duke on there, right, to go play for Duke. And I would have never thought, but Florida State is so similar to Duke in many ways, except it's in Florida, of course. But we ended up beating them on our way to the ACC championship. And I was looking at that goal going like, wow, not only did I reach the goal, but I surpassed it. And that was a pretty cool moment.
That's a really cool moment. So on your way
Yeah.
to the ACC champion, you actually
Yeah.
beat Duke, and that was also on your list of like places to go. Man, that's insane. That's an awesome moment. I guess what were you feeling
Yeah.
in that moment as you're reflecting?
Yeah. Well, a lot of emotions. First off, I didn't actually play any of that ACC tournament. So I'm out on the sidelines, but I'm part of the team. And looking back, I realized the guys off court are just as important. And now playing last year a couple times at 5 and mostly at spot 6 in the lineup, it helped put things into perspective. But I felt like part of that family, and I knew Florida State was my place. And so now I'm here in my junior year and starting to do some of the bigger and better things that I kind of never would have thought even just 2 years ago, meaning I'm going to be higher up in terms of lineup, and I'm contributing back to the school, winning matches, being able to kind of pay that forward, that Duke win. But I do remember going like, wow, some of these things we put into place, and I was able to be consistent with the mindset and get over a couple of tough times, which we can get into. But that full circle moment is just, that's kind of what you live for. It's amazing.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, this full circle moment, just understanding that you did this early on, this goal setting, you
Yeah.
sat with it, you and your dad, and like the dreams that are coming to life, but even more so than you first initially planned. I guess for you, what is what is the value that you found in goal setting and somewhat visualization too? I mean, I know that you kind of are visualizing your success, and actually have it come to fruition is definitely some feelings have to be coming up for you when that happens. It's surpassing those goals too. But as an athlete early on, 7, 8, what value did you find in goal setting and how did you continue that throughout your career?
Well, initially, goal setting is like putting pressure on yourself. But in addition, it's very motivating because it gives you something to work towards, right? And I think that's where the inspiration comes from. It's like, wow, you see these people on TV or whatever playing collegiate tennis and they serve so strong and they're so fit and they play so well. And being 8 years old, I'm going like, that would be the coolest thing in the world, And it's so far away. But that was what got me up in the morning were those goals. And I had this extreme purpose, which I feel very lucky to have experienced at a young age. Because then by the time I'm 12 years old, I already have these skill sets that are pushing me forward and allowing for certain opportunities. And then thereafter, like getting recruited and now being at school, like I all see it kind of falling into place. And being able to work towards these things is actually, it gives me a sense of freedom, right? Like in discipline, there's a sense of freedom. And I know we've talked about this before, but I heavily believe in that to push yourself is actually going above and beyond the kind of chains, and actually moving beyond being comfortable and challenging yourself will catapult you to that next level. Now, I say goals are pressure, and pressure can be a privilege. So it's all about your mindset on a thing. But I mean, that took a lot of time for me to really understand. And of course, I'm still learning as I'm out here. But those goals definitely set me up for a lot of success. And it had me with a clear direction as a young kid, which I think was like a superpower. It was a hack, really.
I hear you contrasting goals with pressure, but also motivation. And you said discipline is freedom. I do want to come back to that. Like, I guess what is that? Could we dig into that? Like, what does that mean? Discipline is freedom. It almost contrasts like in your mind in a way that if people were listening to this or like even younger athletes, they're like,
Yeah.
"What? That doesn't make any sense." So I don't know. Break that
Yeah.
down for me. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. It is a weird concept. To me, let's see if I can put this into words where people can really grasp, even a younger generation, is let's say, for example, you set the goal or you're putting down on paper, okay, I'm waking up every day at 6 a.m. Why is this freedom? Well, it's freedom because you're committing yourself without any external factors telling you to do so that you're going to wake up and you're going to do it on a daily basis. By you being able to commit yourself, you are essentially overriding, right, my emotions. You are overriding the environment or how groggy you feel or how terrible you feel on that day to get up and do it. And so that's why I say it's freedom, because if you're letting your circumstances dictate how you feel or when you wake up, for example, then you are actually kind of confined in this space and will not be able to break out. So through the disciplinary acts, right, and consistency, there is this sense of freedom. And for some reason, the world works where if, let's say, I put in an hour every single day learning a new language or testing a new skill or trying to juggle, in a year from now, I would be able to do all of those things. And to me, that's incredible.
Couldn't have said it better. I guess what I'm hearing from you is discipline is freedom because the choice is already made. Like, set my alarm to get up at 6. Therefore, to your point, I'm taking the decision out of it. And I mean, there is such a thing that we talk about called decision fatigue in psychology, right? And like, I mean,
Right.
this is pretty obvious. The more decisions that you have to make in a day, the more that you're cognitively drained, right? Emotionally drained. And what you're saying is this discipline is actually, there's so much more freedom because there's no choices. There's only one choice, right? Like, I
Yeah.
have the discipline to wake up at 6 or to go lift or to eat a certain diet. And I'm not tempted by McDonald's or waking up at 7 or what have you, because the choice has already been made.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Now, do you have like a calendar, like a Google Calendar going and stuff and
Oh, yeah,
tasks and deadline, all that? Yeah.
totally.
So for me, I started using Google Calendar, right? It's been life changing because you set up the acts or the time of, okay, I'm dedicating this amount, or I'm going to stretch for this time, or I'm going to have this phone call. And you just set it there aside. And then what you have to do is all you have to do is step into that space and do it. You know what I mean? And it simplifies things for you heavily. And that kind of goes hand in hand with discipline, you know?
How did you learn this? Like, I think that as a college athlete, making it to where you are, one of the things that strikes me about college athletes and semi-professional and professional athletes is the amount of discipline that they have and discipline towards their schedule. Like, there are a lot of athletes that we don't know about who are probably late to that practice, late to that game, got kicked off the team, but they are so talented, but they just didn't have the discipline. I guess, did you learn it from your dad, or I know that y'all sat down and did the goal setting too, and I want to come back to that. But I guess, how does an athlete learn, or how did you learn this level of discipline?
I think some of his background, right? I mean, I definitely got blessed with good parents, but at the same time, I'm a big believer in you learn from experience. So I've experienced myself what it feels like to sleep through a practice. I've been late multiple times. I've missed texts. I've missed days of training, and then had to show up, and I feel exhausted. And I'm like, I don't like this feeling. That's all there is to it. And so I didn't feel that sense of freedom, like showing up, like, hey, how do I put it? For example, missing practice, showing up late, right? I'm not hydrated. I didn't eat breakfast. You don't feel good. That's not a freeing feeling at all. To wake up early, do the routine, have the breakfast, show up prepared, cognitively ready to practice. That's a good feeling. Then you bring your A game 100%. The rest falls into place. Coaches notice that. You feel that on the inside. You have a good practice. You leave that place saying, I won the day. It doesn't matter about the result or whatever, but you leave that practice going, I won the day. And so that's just been learned through trial and error with me. And I've done a lot of living on my own at an early age. And that also gave me the experience to learn quickly. You know what I mean? Because you got to keep up with society and everything that's going on. And like I said, there's kind of expectations, goals I had to achieve. I mean, we can get into this later, but when you're not kind of on that path to achieving them, that can be suffocating in a way. And it's like, oh gosh, where am I going? And it can mount up really quickly.
Yeah, I actually would love to go there and talk about that. I know that kind of what you said is just understanding that there were some trials or tribulations, like while you were coming up and growing up, as well as, again, having some of that early individualism and how that created or shaped the discipline that you wanted to be. Because, again, you want to get to somewhere. And in that journey to getting somewhere, some things are going to have to be sacrificed, obviously, but mindsets are going to have to be shaped and learned. And so, I guess, like, you and your relationship with your dad, but even like coming up from the age of 8 to, I don't know, let's say like 16, what was that journey like in your tennis career? Maybe what were some challenges?
It's super helpful to have that almost an agenda laid out for you. Because, like I said, when you have that agenda laid out, then you don't have to think about it. So, with my parents, it was like, okay, we're doing tennis. My dad sent me off to Argentina and we were just going to do it. Like, being that age, you don't have much say. It's like, okay, I go play tennis and I don't have to think about it. There was this turning point for me around 17, 18, where now I have some of this liberty in how I decide my schedule. Okay, now I can, if I want to go hang out with friends, I can, or I can decide to go practice. And so that's a kind of a weird age. And I see that a lot. And still to this day, right? I'm getting used to like, okay, I schedule everything. I have to schedule the podcast and be in touch with the people and essentially move my life forward. But that transition was pretty tough because it's easy when you have something laid out for you. I mean, you see a lot of the greats, like their parents just had this regimen. The Williams sisters, Coco Gauff, like it's just how life was. You don't have to think about it. You show up and you play tennis. So that transition was tough. And I think that kind of brought me to a state of actual depression, and that's when I had to reach out to Trevor, but I felt the pressure getting to me and I felt like the goals were still very far away, those goals that we made when I was younger. And entering into my senior year of high school, I'm getting recruited and there are some good things going for me, but then quickly I feel like, oh my gosh, I have to keep this up. I have to keep up the level, the UTR, the rankings and everything to continue this. And so I had a probably 5 to 8 month period where I could not perform. Like I was stressed out, extremely stressed. It was not enjoyable. Then I started to hate the sport. And I actually even wanted to be like, hey, I'm done. I need a break, like full on, like not even a break, almost quitting. Like we had conversations about quitting, stopping, and thinking back, then knowing what I have now. I mean, that's crazy thinking. That's crazy talk. But those pressures do kind of build up. And so the reason why they came to me is because I now had to start deciding how I was going to, okay, do I go on this visit? How am I talking to coaches? How do I communicate a loss to them, right? How do I talk? Oh, yes. So these are skills I had to learn. And Trevor helped me a lot with that along the way, right? Just being in the present moment can do so much for you. Like that moment hasn't happened yet. The other moment is already in the past. Like you're here now, you're breathing, you're fine. Like you feel your feet, your face is okay. Like it's all good, and that was the initial step, but that helped me a lot.
Dude, that's awesome. So going to Argentina, understanding that like the pressure is mounting, right? Like you are getting recruited, colleges are calling you, and it's almost like, oh crap, like I'm finally here. And now I have to maintain it and I have to like really finish with the goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and understand that like these goals that I wrote down that myself and my dad wrote down when I was 8 years old, 10 years later, traveling to Argentina, probably even pressures from like just even thinking about how much money that your parents spent, how
Mm,
much love that they have for you, determination, like it's contrasting all of these pressures, and we hear this a lot. And I know that this is your story, and I don't want to take this away from you at all, but a lot of other individuals are dealing with some similar pressures that you're
of
dealing
course.
with right at the collegiate level and even that cusp of right before you get to college. And I think that's an underserved area of sports psychology, of just wellness, or just doesn't really get that much attention, in my opinion, is really the mental health, the mental wellness of individuals dealing with the pressure when they start actualizing their goals, when coaches start calling them ACC coaches and all this stuff. And you said that you talked to Trevor. I guess just like walk me through what the process was within talking to Trevor, how you were feeling. You mentioned some anxiety and some depression, and really talking about like UTR and all the pressures thereof. I
Yeah.
guess when did it start, and how did you resolve it and get to Florida State?
Yeah. There's a couple different parts to this, but I will say that yes, I was kind of living in a way of like result based thinking, and that's how I'd go about my matches and everything. And that was not helpful at all. Initially, Trevor, like I said, being in the present moment. And I tell you what, if you are somebody that's, let's say, trying to make a team, right, a lineup spot, any of these things, there are always going to be cutoff dates or cutoffs in anything you do. There's going to be deadlines. There's going to be expectation. That's such a hard concept to kind of overcome. And at that age, I was with Trevor at 17 going and 18 years old, but it's not about that. And I'll tell you why, because Trevor not only told me some of the techniques that I can use to be in the present moment and enjoy my process, but he also gave me a better perspective and life view. For example, some of the best coaches in the world are going to bank your success off character. Now, I know there's some programs, right, where they're going to recruit only talent. And yes, that will win from time to time. It will. Looking back at our 2024 ACC team and the coaches that I've been lucky enough to have, they know the skill ahead of time. When a coach goes to see you, they see the rankings, your past record, they know all of that about you. What they're looking for when they come out to see you is, okay, who is this individual? If I'm losing 6-0, 3-0, how am I responding? You know what I mean? This is an investment in the player. Everything I'm doing is an investment in the player. When I step out on court now, I want to focus on the process of how can I improve that next step, right? And when I was focusing on results, like then I started playing tight, and any tennis player will know, you start playing tight, you're playing short, you're waiting for the other person to miss. This would not take me anywhere. So having faith in the fact that if you're showing up in a good and intense and having good character for your practices, your matches, that will go so much further. Let's say you do lose, right? The coach is watching you, and this happened with Trevor. When I was with him, the Florida coach came to watch me, was thinking about all the future. Are they going to recruit me? Whatever. Did terrible. The match where I showed up and I said, I'm going to fight every point. I'm going to give a little fist pump. I'm going to show some positive energy. That's what allowed this chance. The coach saw the character, investment in the future. It opened up the opportunity. And obviously, I'm still having ups and downs all the time. But the more I focus on that, and this is a skill I learned then, is it ends up working out. You know what I mean? And that's been really cool. And I feel like when you bring that on a consistent basis, people are going to want to invest in you. They're going to want to invest in you. And that is so much more fulfilling long term than trying to get that one result or get over the line and try to impress the coach. Because then every practice now you're going to have to show up and impress the coach. Oh, that's going to be miserable, totally miserable. So that's my thought on that whole situation.
I like that. So understanding that, two things that I really got from that I think that I just want to underscore for the people out there listening. One, to articulate it as an investment from the coach's perspective is a really interesting thing to think about, because that leads to point number two that you made very well. Coaches already know, based on UTR, based on film, before they even get into the stands and watch you, they they want to recruit you. What they're primarily looking for, and that's why they flew out there to go see you, right? Or drove out there, what have you, is that character. And underlying that, I think, is a really, really important thing. And to decrease the amount of anxiety that you feel, I don't need to win this match. I need to display how I play. That's what the coach is there for. How does Azariah play? How does he show up in the tough moments, in the challenging times? I've already seen a lot of his matches. I can see them online. There's so much video. I've seen all of the box scores and all that good stuff. Now I want to see like how he represents himself in those tough times and with winning. And I could tell that, like, even you said that, like, hey, after one of those matches where all this pressure was put on me, I talked to Trevor. Bring me back to that conversation. What was that conversation like, as well as like the pressures leading up to the match?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was literally just that conversation. It was like, you're going to control what you can control: attitude, effort, body language, whatever. Let the rest happen. It was very straightforward conversation. And I did that. And I was like, let me commit to it, because at that point, it was kind of like a make it or break it. Like I already felt like I was in the dumps, and I was like, why not? I'll go for it, you know? And meanwhile, thinking my immature self was like, this isn't going to work. The guy wants to see me win. Like, whatever. It's over. It's over. I thought, it's over for me. No way I'm getting an offer, whatever. But I took those things to heart and made it happen. And it's funny because this mentality and thinking may not apply to everybody, right? But I'm just trying to think of some of the people that may be listening and how I can be the most authentic. And I've seen success in this, like, heavily. And you probably want a coach anyways that's going to be invested in your character long term than the singular result. And so when you think about it that way, and if you're similar to me, then you're probably going to want to have someone that's on, kind of behind you, even when you're not playing well. And there's coaches out there that are like that. And then there's coaches out there that are very results driven, like many of us are. And that's okay too. But I'm saying, like, in terms of just overall enjoyment, and we can get into that more about enjoying your sport, because that's another thing. Like, you're playing a game, you know what I mean? And that's something you have to put in perspective. But anyways.
Yeah, 100%. So just kind of understanding outcomes, outcome driven, talent driven versus character driven. Why do coaches want character, as well as, like, what are some of the character, if you were to point to Florida State tennis team and the character that these individuals have collectively, and the coach is really harping on communicating that, what is the character of Florida State tennis?
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain brand, there's a certain culture, there's an expectation with that culture. I mean, I just remember we were the number 6 seeds in the tournament, and to come and win that, I mean, what is that? Like, why is it that we're beating like 5 other top programs with all the talent in the world, all the money in the world, and we beat them? Tell me what that is. You can't tell me like, oh, it's some fluke. Like, upsets happen all the time. That's because of the team chemistry, building trust, right? Focusing on some of the more simple things. And I really give my coaches credit there. And it's weird because I've had to explain this concept to everybody, including my own parents, right? Because everyone is so like win, 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 driven, results based. Like, our world is results based, whether it comes to money, whatever. But for me, that pressure is too much. Some people can operate like that. But for me, I saw the value in that through our team, through my own experience with tennis, right? I was like, okay, where have my best results been? It's where I show up and I try to be authentic as a person, right? I try to focus on how well can I hit my slice day? Can I focus on really making sure the technique is perfect? And instead of copying out and getting tight and slicing short or whatever, just slice it deep, hit the right shot in the moment, focus on the process, and that will work out for you statistically long term. And I mean, I've had to explain this concept to so many people because it's like, well, everything is results driven. Like, if you don't win the thing, you're not going to be. I understand that. That's true. But how do you get those results in this state of mind?
I would definitely want to dig into this. I think is probably one of the most important things that we talk about today, in my opinion. And maybe it's not yours, but like, how do we get past that? Because you're right, it is results driven, right? Like, at the end of the day, if individuals don't see you play, they see the score. But getting to the score, or getting to the quote outcome that you want, that is way more important than actually getting there. And you could overthink it, right? You could put too much pressure on yourself. If you're talking, you just said that you don't deal well with quote pressure, but the circumstances didn't change per se. Your mindset changed. So talk to me about that shift. And I guess, like, when did you realize that?
Yeah, that's well said. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Um, it's different for everyone how you get into that mindset, right? The zone. Everyone can find that in a different way. For me, it's initially calming my mind, putting things into perspective, and having immense gratitude for the moment, right? Step on court it's a blessing to even be there, healthy, moving my legs, getting to run, chase down balls, all of that. But I came to realize this, and I'm in the process of realization, just being a person, is how can I make this kind of reputable in my lifestyle? And there wasn't like any like make or break moment, but I think that initial day with Trevor and I did exactly what he said, which was focus on the controllables. The day we won the ACC and seeing how team chemistry culture can overcome any skill or what other schools have, that was more impressive and making them higher ranked. And then I think a lot of personal development, right? Really digging deep inside myself. How do I want to conduct my life? You know what I mean? How do I want to go about my day? And I did that a lot through meditation. And I'm a big believer that your personality will dictate your reality. It's all about perspective. I mean, do I show up to practice happy and excited to be there? Do I show up to practice like, what is this? What am I doing? So it's all perspective, and those are kind of a couple of the make or break moments for me. But it's just been a lot of introspective work, being comfortable alone, being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and that's what's been most successful to me. And I try to put myself in those positions all the time.
I love that. So what I'm hearing from you is a lot of self-awareness, right? Self-awareness and
Hmm.
meditation. So self-reflection on the points in which you perform your best, and really deliberately understanding. And I want people to, I guess, hear this. And this is not easy, by the way. I want to give us grace, you grace, me grace. I used to be a college
Yeah.
athlete. I mean, still, like, every day in some respects is a performance, right? And I'm not saying that it's like fake how you show up. I'm just saying that you will be judged, quote unquote, or there is a standard of excellence to which you show up for in life. Whether that's you being ACC co-chair, whether that's you in the academic classroom, whether that's you showing up for and being the best brother that you can be. I know that you and your
Yeah.
brother have a very great relationship too. but it's not
Mhm.
performative from like a acting standpoint, but it is how do I show up in my most authentic self, but doing that in a way that is not only true to myself but helps the other person, I guess, or the situation. And so what you're saying is through self-reflection, through meditation, you were able to find that, and gratitude is one of the best ways in which you found also to do that. What does gratitude give you? And can we really be grateful for everything all the time? Like the sunshine, the tennis racket that's in my hands? Like it seems almost not to minimize gratitude at all, but it almost seems like we're kind of glossing over the like, man, I got a tennis tournament to play. Like, what does gratitude have to do with tennis?
That is well said. I mean, gratitude in my mind is it's a frequency and a state of being, but it's weird because you're right. But there are some cultures, right, where they are grateful for death. Like you can find a reason to be grateful if you want to. And if gratefulness is a state of being and a frequency that I feel like raises your frequency in a positive way. I've never been grateful and then felt less energetic or wanted to be more lazy or eat more junk food. Like, I don't know if that's something that exists. But if that is possible, then why not tap into it and use it to be your best self? And anytime I'm not feeling up for the challenge or whatever, being grateful, which I would say is in the moment, having perspective of like, okay, even just life in general is amazing. And why not make the most of that, right? I've had injuries, broken knees. You know, I know there's people that are, some are going through deaths in a family. Like there are many terrible things that are happening, right? And it's like, how do you be grateful for that? How? Put in perspective, you may be able to find a way. I think some of the best examples, right, are the greats, Novak Djokovic, Federer. These guys down 5-2, 5-1, they're finding reasons. What are those reasons? How are they finding reasons? I would venture to say it's all this sense of gratitude. Okay, I keep fighting for this. I keep going because of this reason, right? I'm not disappointed because I'm down 5-2 or whatever. I'm happy I'm in this situation. You know, and I look back and all the terrible things that have happened and, you know, whether it's personal life, breakup, whatever it is, losses, injuries, people saying, you know, they don't believe in me anymore. I'm grateful. You know why? Because I'm here in this moment now with you. I can be grateful for that, you know?
I love that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
tongue in cheek, and you know this for a fact. I was just playing devil's advocate, all right, and kind of thinking from the individual's perspective that like
Yeah,
other
yeah.
individuals might be thinking from. But I
Right.
100% agree with you. Couldn't agree more. Just to piggyback off of this, research shows that if you want to try to get into the flow state, one of the precursors for flow um, is gratitude, and the emotion and the frequency that is created from a neurobiological perspective. A lot of that is like being grateful. And you're right. If you ever want to come back from being down, whether it's, 2-5, whatever, wherever you're at in a match, you can come back by being grateful and in the present moment. That you can't come back and be, I don't know, tied 6-6 until you win that next point. So the only point that matters is this point. When you zoom out, it kind of puts a lot of pressure off of you as well. To your
Oh,
point, I
yeah.
heard you say this, like, this is just a game. And the only thing
Right.
that matters really, or the thing that I'm grateful for, is that I have two legs, I have two arms, and I get to do this. This is awesome. There's no pressure. This is fun. And again, this sport was invented to be a game, to pass the time, to have fun, to be competitive. And if I could zoom out from that perspective, what you're saying, that bird's eye view, kind of gives you joy to even say that, like, hey, the outcomes, they're going to come if I can channel this inner state of being. Am I hearing that correctly?
Totally, totally. And there are people that don't even have any of these things, arms or legs, that bring so much joy to their life. And it's like, come on, guys, you know? So I think that's a big take home for me when it comes to tennis. Like, if you're watching this, right, and you're looking for a reason to, let's say, continue, or you're going through a stressful time with your tennis, or your entire life has led up to this recruitment process or whatever it is. And yeah, you may have parents that are on you. But if you enjoy that moment, be like, wow, look how far I've come, or wow, look the pressure that's on me right now to make this happen. Like, people would so want to be in my position and have like 5 schools after me, but yet, you know, like it's kind of on edge. You know what I mean? Um, so that's how I would put it in perspective. And you're spot on, you know, and it's almost like this toxic positivity, like I've been called toxic positive, which I find kind of funny because it's probably true. I just can't see it. But here I am. And, I would want to communicate that because it's a very fulfilling way to wake up and enjoy. And, between 16 to your mid 20s is such a weird time of life. And it's like, why not try to make the most of that? You're going through a lot of ups and downs and questioning why you're here and, what is this? What is the purpose of this and that and whatever. So it's been a very helpful, you could almost call it a technique, just finding gratitude in things.
I would definitely call it a technique. Yeah, to find gratitude in the little things and the space between, because individuals could be caught in the negativity bias, right? Or caught up in
Right.
what people think or negative self comparison. I think there's a lot of times in which you can say, "Hey, I'm the number." I think you said you were the number 6 or number 5, and getting
Yeah.
caught up in comparing yourself to the number 1, and then thinking, "What is coach going to think if I miss the shot?" Or what is my parents going to think, or what are my parents going to think? Or like to your point, we're number 6, we're never going to get out of this. Like that, the mindset in which you're talking about. And I think that, again, this has just been ingrained in you. And it's so easy to talk about. And again, maybe I don't really want to get into toxic positivity, even though we can. I think that that does exist. But I think that tennis is such a mental sport from the standpoint of there are a lot of failures, there's a lot of mistakes, there's a lot of pressure, and there's just kind of culture in tennis that's atypical than how you show up. So you're kind of like alt, right? Or like kicking the
Yeah.
norm, so to speak. And I want to give you praise on that because I've seen a lot of your matches, and I know that you show up in a way that I think is really interesting. And when I was there with you at USC, you kind of hit this flow state. Bring me
I
back
did.
to that. Talk to me about like the flow state that you were in. I mean, this guy pulled out of the match, and I don't know shade on him. Obviously, you were just playing out of your mind. I mean, any shot that you wanted, you were hitting. But take me to that moment. I mean, I'm sitting there in the crowd, and you're cheering him on when he makes a good shot on you.
Yeah.
And I could see the gratitude in you and the thought processes that you had, but like gratitude does transfer to the court. Anyway, I want you to take it from there. What was that
Oh,
experience like
yeah.
for you? What was going on in your head?
I love this conversation. Okay. So we've talked about gratitude, but this is now the confidence side. Okay. What is confidence? Because anyone that's watching this, athlete, confidence is everything. Whether you're sprinting, playing football, whatever. Here's my take on confidence. And I found this to be more true than any other aspect in sport. Let me give you a quick background and then I'll tie it into the match that I played, right? It is so funny because there are things online, recordings, whatever, of me like blatantly hooking, right? Like just calling balls out. Like that just happens. Well, no, it doesn't just happen. But there are matches out there where I full on hooked, right? I can totally tell you, yeah, the ball was this far in. I've tried to call it out because the pressure was too much and the result was too much for me. And I couldn't bear thinking about if I lost that point, that deuce point, that set, what that would do for my rating, what that would do for my image, my look, right? But that was a fake way to keep confidence. The confidence comes through the authentic self, through you working to know, okay, I can rely on these real life values, for example, character, to perform at my best. Now, when you watch me play, right, I got into this zone. And I think the only reason why I was able to get there is because I have my pre match routines and whatever. But I've built up real confidence. What is real confidence? I've hit the shot enough times to know that it's going to go in where I want. I know how to hit the right plays at the right moment, right? Bring height to the backhand and then go inside in. Like it's very simple. Like tennis is very simple. If you do simple well, you're going to win the match. And so I've honed in on that, right? So being authentic self and then honing in on the process of my game, things I know how to do to then translate it on court. And as long as I get myself in that state of mind and remind myself, okay, why am I here? What are some of the kind of I guess the objectives of today's match, right? I'm focusing on hitting to the backhand, being quick with my feet, accelerating with the forehand. I don't care if I miss it. I'm going for it. That's what's going to be done. And then I hit that point, and then you got to saw me perform really, really well, which was kind of like a how do you put it? Like a complete not wipeout performance, but I did fantastic. So
Dude, you played out of your mind.
yeah,
When I was up there, I was just like, I had to go. I think I had a dinner reservation, and
yeah,
I stayed for like I think the whole match until he like withdrew. And I think I was watching on my phone on the way home and all that stuff. But some of the things you talked about, I think, are really interesting. So one, that is character, and it's a great example of character, right? The ball is out,
Yeah.
or sorry, the ball
Yeah.
was in. I'm calling it out, and that's there to save face, to protect my UTR. I mean, there's so many motivating factors in which and why you would want to do that. But and maybe you've done that before, and I appreciate the like being humble and
Yeah.
exercises some humility there. But changing that and doing a 180 and say, look, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to be the person that tries to save face or that character moment. I have values that contrast with that, and I'm not playing within my values. So, in order
Right.
to see the greater culture and not be sucked into it, I mean, I've seen so many things. You've seen so many things, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
kids throwing the racket, yelling at the ref, talking, all types of stuff, or talking to themselves, or, you know, all things to throw you off your game. But that negativity spiral, the individuals are getting sucked into it. Instead of that, you're saying, wait, whoa, that's not who I am. That's not
Yeah.
how I play. That's not what's going to give me my best performance on this court today. So this is what I'm going to do, and lead with gratitude, call balls out that are out, and say, and cheer on my opponent if he makes a good shot, because I can't control that. I can
Yeah.
control how I get there, and that's it. Like there's no other thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. I mean, this sense of like confidence and being a world class athlete. I mean, you just look at the best and it's like, okay, what are they doing? I mean, you look at like people like Alcaraz, Sinner. We're getting, because of social media, we get like a deeper look into their lives, and they're good dudes. I mean, they're competitors, they're warriors. Don't get me wrong. Like you step on court, it's a battle. You know, it's a moment to prove your worth in a sense and compete to the death. And I kind of mentioned that. Like, of course, that's sport. Like that's why we do it. But they're not individuals like, oh my gosh, I'm so much better than this person, or like, yeah, I got him. Like that's not confidence. You know, Rafa's a great example of that. You show up and you put the skills to work that you've been working on. And it's funny because ever since I started social media and putting myself out there, funny enough, the results get better. Why? Because I'm like, here you go, world. Here I am. I'm going to play tennis. I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. And I'm not going to try to hold something back and cover myself up and hide from the losses and hide. None of that's going to matter anymore, because now I get to solely think about the tennis and how I'm going to conduct myself on court and what type of plays I want to run and how I'm going to hit the ball. Like those things are so enjoyable, right? I love hearing the sound of a slice that's crisp over the net. Like that's what I'm focusing on a match. You know what I mean? That is a life-changing hack right there for sport. And I would love to, well, not love, but to lose every other match for the rest of the year. It would be helpful because I would still want to prove this point to everybody. You know what I mean? Like saying that enjoying going out there, focusing on these things will always outweigh any loss result, whatever. And yeah, so I had to put that out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. Just understanding that the intrinsic motivation and where that comes from and the confidence, and I love how you contrasted two things. One is the gratitude for the match, but two is still that competitive drive in nature. And the way that I talk about this is like having that killer, like Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality contrasted with the monk mentality, and like love and kindness and gratitude and self-compassion. You would think that these two things are so polar opposite and they don't go together, but they do. In the moment that you blend the two together, and I have to give you a compliment, you're one of the best at doing this because you've realized the value in it. It's not that you never fist pump, that you never get hyped, that you never, I mean, I've seen you on the court just like let out an audible, like manly,
Yeah.
yeah, like let's go, right? Like, but you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
still contrast that with having gratitude for the moment and respect for your opponent. And I love that, right? And doing those two things, to your point, that's confidence. And to be able to get yourself out there on social media, you talked about the freedom I think that that gave you, and why that gives you that freedom, which is to just be authentic. Like, this is me.
Yeah.
This is who I am. This is how I'm going to show up in this environment. Whether you accept me or not, I have this like fundamental confidence in my sense of self that's unshaken.
Yeah.
And that unshakable belief in yourself has transferred well to the court and probably other areas of their life as well.
Yeah.
How do you
Everywhere.
suggest that athletes find that, or that people find that? People that are out there journeying to find this, like, who am I? Obviously we're still afraid of other people's judgment, but and you probably are too. We're all fallible humans, but
Of course.
what's the first step in finding that for people that are listening?
That's a really good question. Really good question. And honestly, I don't have like an answer for that. I mean, I've dabbled, but I have found some sort of just peace with myself and who I am. And I'll say the one thing that has definitely helped move me in that direction towards being really comfortable with self, which has now translated on court, because being comfortable with self means you have nothing to hide. Thus, you can just go play the tennis to your best of your ability. Doesn't matter your rating, who you are, your background, whatever it is. But putting myself in extremely uncomfortable situations. I had stage fright, and I'll give you some examples. I went every single Tuesday and Thursday last year to the student union and played piano in front of everybody. Couldn't care. Some cared, some looked, some didn't. And I said, I'm going to play. And one of my biggest fears growing up was piano recitals. I couldn't do it. My hands, I have hyperhidrosis, to be sweating. It'd be dripping. My hands would be dripping on the keys. I couldn't stand it. Like, I remember I'd tug on my parents, like, please don't take me in. So I had this trauma as a kid, and I was like, I'm pushing past that fear. So I do the piano thing in front of people, and sometimes I'd like play wrong notes on purpose and just see, hey, are they looking? Do they care? And that built up such a like confidence. Like, no one really gives anything about what I'm doing. And if I can't find peace and joy in myself, it's not going to come from any external factors. And that's been so helpful with relationships, how I treat my parents. I mean, now it's gone to my leadership activities, right? How I want to help others kind of find this, putting myself out there. So I've actually turned from an introvert to an extrovert during that time too, which is fascinating to me because I would never expected that. But to reel it back in for a second, challenging yourself, doing what you fear most on a daily basis will begin the process of bringing this out of you, which you explained better than I did, and will thus translate to your sport and life. And I'm a big believer that, you know, life is so much bigger than sport. Sport is just a sector of something that I like to do. And that's helped a lot. For some people, it has to be their main thing, like my sleep, my schedule, my life revolves around it. For me, it's not the case. And that's just a personal preference. But that challenge and putting yourself out there, not having fear, is one of the greatest things you can do, for sure.
Putting yourself out there and not having fear. I mean, first of all, I love the experiment just to understand that I'm going to try to play a wrong note here or mess up on purpose just to like undo the fear in such a way that what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of getting out in front of these people, them making fun of me. Okay, I'm going to play this not good on purpose. And
Yeah,
nobody cared. Everybody kept eating, right? Or maybe they did. I mean, whatever. But at the same time, again, like I didn't feel that or that wasn't seen, which means that fear is illogical, right? It's not real. And so
totally.
now I can actually play more freely. And I think, yeah, some of the first steps in which you've done is really introspection, understanding what works for you, and putting yourself
Hmm.
out there in a way that you understand what you value because you know how you're about to react. And that's how you learn just so much more about yourself and who you are. And having a non-judgmental attitude towards that, I think is very helpful. And that's one of the things that you have as well. Like I'm not going to judge myself in the moment from doing all of these things.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about athlete identity because you said that you're not putting a lot of stock in, you know, it's great being a Florida State, male tennis player, going into ACC championship, like in 2024, winning it, like that's sweet, but you don't put that much stock in it. Tell me about athlete identity and kind of why you don't do that. Obviously, on social media and like all that stuff, that's good, but what's the value in not doing that?
Yeah. You know, getting the trophy at the end of the tournament, winning all the matches, that I mean, that moment lasts for seconds, 5 to 10 seconds. Like, you do all of that, you work, and then you win the trophy, and it's like, okay, wow, now what? For me, it's like, okay, in that process, was I able to be a good teammate? Was I able to call my brother a couple times? Was I able to enjoy myself? For me, having a lasting impact really speaks so much more to me and my character than the tennis and the accolades. And I think those just kind of go hand in hand, because now when I'm taking my identity out of sport and being able to enjoy myself for the love of the game and improve and step on court and be like, I'm going to go with quality today. I'm going to really work and test something out. Or when I step into a match, because not everything is on that match, and you can have a different mindset on this. For me, I'm like, okay, because I'm not only a tennis player at this juice point, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to test that out. And we are evolving and adapting human beings that eventually your mind, just on base how we work, how we operate, we're going to learn the right way. Like we are just driven to do that. And so that's why I take the identity outside of sports. So then at 4-all deuce point in college tennis, right, you don't play the ads. Next point wins the game. I've been able to go above and beyond and be like, okay, for this point, I'm going to try literally just to play consistent. And there's going to be no fear behind what I'm doing. And that's kind of the reason why I do that, because it gives me more freedom when I step out on court. And it's not like all my eggs are in one basket. Of course, having quality and intention is very good. And I've actually sometimes done too many things at once lately, but being able to be like, yeah, I'm a good son. I get to go be an impactful person in the community later on after this match. Like I'll do community service after a tournament. And it's like, that's what's really impactful and lasting, not the wins. And so that's helped me a lot with my overall tennis career.
That's amazing. So you do community service after some tennis tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I remember I finished the final. It was Monday, and Monday is my Jesus day. That Monday, I played the final, which was technically the biggest tournament of my college career. Like I'm in the final of the Bedford Cup. It's round of 32. The whole region's there. I've already had some great wins. Here was my morning. I woke up at 6. I went up to Man Up Monday like I usually do. Like most players would be like, oh my gosh, I got to sleep in. I got to make sure I get my breakfast, whatever. Man on Monday, I did my mental therapy coaching, which I love to do. It's just going through a regular Monday morning. I show up to the match. Obviously, I stretch. I'm thorough about how I warm up, and then I have my couple of things to get me in the zone. Right, a little classical music, some meditation, and then I go into the match. I do my thing, and then right after, back at it. Like I get back into the community. I did my SAC stuff. You know what I mean? I have FCA in the evening. Like that's just how my life kind of is right now, and I love it. I mean, I love doing this type of stuff. Like I've never been a happier person because of it. So, and it's just cool. Like I just love looking at my lifestyle and going, wow, that's pretty cool. Like I like that. So
That's awesome. So waking up at 6 a.m. doing you're honestly, you're kind of making me jealous, man. I might have to see how many years of eligibility I have left. I'm gonna have to get into
yeah.
that because again, like, but you just set your life up so well to understand, like, here are the things that I like. I like
Mhm.
this. This is gonna really help me spiritually,
Yeah.
from like a character standpoint, really get the best out of life. It's to be involved in these things. And college is such a breeding ground to have like life is at your fingertips. Yeah, I got recruited to come here to play a sport that I also love, and I'm going to do that at this time. After that, I'm going to engage in all of these other things. And so it's like I'm not dwelling on my match. I'm not stressing about the match that's coming up. It's I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to enjoy it. I wake up with gratitude that I get to do all of these other extracurricular things and then live a life of service. And there's so
Mhm.
much psychological research out there surrounding happiness as it correlates to living life of service. I won't bore you with the details, but there's some really good science in there. Blending that in with having gratitude and then having opportunities to do physical activity, which that's what sport is, and also compete. Yeah, of course I'm going to show up and do my best. And I hate to even ask this question after I prefaced it, but just for the people listening out there, I don't like to ask the did you win question, but did you win?
Duh. No, I'm kidding. Yes.
Duh.
Yeah, I mean, I was just doing my thing like I'd always do. I
Yeah.
stepped on the tennis court for the second millionth time. I was like, all right, cool. Let me do my thing. Let me see if I can perfect myself a little more today. And I did that, and I happened to win. But if I lost, who cares? Like, go on to the next thing. And the the work that's put in and the attention to detail would already pay off. Like for my next practice, if I just pay a little bit of attention, like, oh yeah, I saw this work and this. All right, let's go practice it. It's so simple. Like mental fitness seems so complex and the inner workings, and we have a brain, but it's so simple. You got to keep it simple. Like that's all there is to it. So
I like that. And just
yeah.
having the routine. So to say, hey, see ball, hit ball. But if ball's in, I get point. If ball's out, I don't. Like it is that simple. And if I show up and I know that these are going to be the things that's going to lead to my success. For you, it's classical music, a little bit of meditation, waking up, making
Mm-hmm.
sure that I do, my spiritual work in the
Yep.
morning, and with other people, to kind of help out. Do maybe some one-on-ones, whether that's seeing a therapist or seeing a mental coach, like myself, or Trevor, and then engaging with some community service after this. I know that what I did in practice is going to pay off. I'm going to focus on these three things, and then I'm going to go do that thing. I'm going to enjoy myself while I do that. I'm going to shake the opponent's hand if I lose or if I win, and my day is going to go on. Hopefully, we'll pray to the man up above that I don't get hurt doing what I'm doing, which I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I won. Great. Right. I'm going to go out and have a good day, whether, I'm going to win or lose. And I love that. And your mindset, we've actually done a lot of stuff with you in the course in the app. So we have that coming out. What was that experience like? And I guess for individuals listening, what can they look forward to when it comes to your course in the app that we've audio recorded for individuals to listen to?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a bunch of what I just said. Taking identity out of sport was huge for me. Some people, they like to have their routines really in place. Like you look at Rafa, and I used to have a mentality of like, oh my gosh, match days, I have to be sleeping, I have to eat differently, I have to make sure I'm super focused, no phone time. And for some people that gets them in the zone. But for me, I've seen a lot more success with like life goes on after this match. I'm not going to put too much emphasis on it. I'm going to put emphasis in the areas that matter, quality of how I'm hitting the ball, what I'm doing, what I'm trying to achieve. Think more long term. I'll even do like abs the day before a match or practice and be like, this is for the future. This isn't for today. Today isn't the big day. I don't want to put that pressure on myself. I want to go and enjoy it. And that's helped a lot with my results. So in the course, you'll see that. In addition, the only reason why I've recommended this stuff because I see it works. I mean, my teammate Antoine, he was top 3 in the country. He won the final match for us in the ACC. I'm friends with the majority of our football team, right? All the guys, the quarterback, Deuce Robinson, who's had like some of the most incredible catches for our team. These guys are all doing the same thing. So that's why I recommend it. And it's like, they're so committed to the cause, meaning their sport, that the day before, the day after, like it's all a blur. They show up and they do it well, and they don't have any emphasis on the day or the match or the result. It's like I've said a million times now, it's the process. And that's what I'm going to talk about in my course. And I hope I have communicated that well, but I really think that's what I'm going to focus in on and continue to live out myself to the best of my ability. So it'll be a journey for you and I, but at the current moment, I feel like I have enough under my belt to be able to communicate that in an effective way and hopefully help someone else.
I mean, speaking from my experience and listening to it, and everyone out there, go, download the app if you want to listen to it. But for you playing with the best of the best, seeing individuals show up and knowing that they're not super heady, right? Or in their head mentally. It's really, hey, I have the confidence. Individuals have confidence in me. I have my team. And whatever happens, I have the confidence in my ability to figure it out, right? Whether that's in football, catching a pass, throwing a pass, being in a
Yep.
situation that's abnormal to me is almost like rewarding in and of itself. Like this is different, right? For you, like if you got put into a situation on the tennis court that you've never done before, never seen before, I'm imagining that you would meet that moment with almost optimism and curiosity, right? Saying like, oh, whoa, this is new. I've never been in this situation before. This is a new challenge for me. How can I figure this out? Oh, interesting. And then seeing what happens on the back end of that. I think that what you just said, and you said that perfectly, which is they're not thinking about the past or the future. They're really just living in the now and knowing that they have the skills necessary to compete.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to tell you this real quick because I last year to get to the state I'm at now took some really ridiculous things. Like I started dancing in between points and stuff. And like, on changeovers, start like singing to myself. I would wave. I'd think, okay, what if everyone looked at me right now and thought I was the most stupid person? Perfect. That's what I'm getting at here. Like, let's make this mentally crazy for me so that I can improve and get to a state where I'm totally confident, authentic in my character. Thus, my character is my ability to play tennis, all the skills that I've learned, the shots that I know how to do. And now I'm at the place I don't have to dance in between points to feel that. But I'm just saying that was the groundwork to get to where I am now. And with social media, like it's this constant upkeep. And that's another thing. I mean, I'm going weekly to my mental coaching sessions. At Florida State, we have some great resources. For those that may not have access, I mean, I encourage you to get this app because you want to be consistent. I mean, I'm in a great space right now. I'm on a 9-match winning streak. I don't care. I'm going every week. Make sure I talk about my stuff, get it in, have a clear idea of where my mindset's at, how I can best perform. And for me, that's like, okay, let's talk about how my Monday went, or like how my leadership is going and how fantastic that is and how we can expand. And then also, oh, let's bring quality to the court. And this week's focus is, okay, first serve percentage really needs to be better. I need to get in the gym, get my legs stronger, hit that serve better. And that's just how it goes, you know? And so having that consistency is very key in anything you really do in life, because you want to be kind of trusted in that. But had to bring up that point.
I love that. Wait, hold on. So I'm assuming that you identified a fear that you had. Again, another one. And in that fear was probably something around, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to assume that it's judgment and
Oh yeah.
fear of others' eyes. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I feel that 100% every day. But I mean, that's why I've tried to perfect myself, because I want people's perception of me to be really positive. But I had to overcome that. I was like, all right, let's first kind of level the playing ground, get everyone's view of me to be negative, and then let anything else then be positive. But just assume like it's okay. No one cares, you know? And I still work on that to this day, because I care a lot about what people think. And so I still go to the union every now and then to just make sure I feel those fears, make sure I'm tapping into that challenge, that feeling, make sure I'm overcoming. I do a lot of public speaking as well, just to make sure it's upkeep. You know what I mean? Consistency again.
Yeah, and putting yourself in that situation for your mind to challenge reality. The reality of the situation is it's not that bad. People are not going to judge you negatively. And even if they do, that is a good opportunity to overcome it. So you're putting yourself in opportunities to overcome the fear of, I mean, I don't want to say full-blown social anxiety, but it's how can I think about other people and how they think of me, right? But whatever, maybe negative self-comparison, or that person's better than me, or they're judging me in this way. And so you danced in between points. And you play the piano at the union. What else do you do? Like, are there other things? You put yourself out there public speaking. What else?
Oh my gosh, every action. I try to just be the most authentic version of myself, which is like a list of 1,000 things. But, you know, every moment, you know, sometimes I'll go in right to the athletic training room, and I know there's people that don't want to talk to me, and I'll be like, hey, what's up? You know, it's great to see you. Like, I'm excited to be here too, you know, and constantly pushing those limits of like toxic positivity, which I love to do well. And once you do it enough, though, it becomes a habit. I mean, I wake up pretty darn happy every day, so I'll take it. I mean, most people don't get to say that. And yeah, I mean, I kind of forget what the question was, but I just know, yes, I'm acting a little weird or crazy on purpose, just to get out of my shell. Because for the longest time, I was kind of confined to this mindset of like, no one see me, be perfect. I can't hear or stand the opinions of others, whatever. That's not a very fun way to be doing things. So,
Dude, I just love the fact that you put yourself out there and challenge yourself when you have the fears that you do. And look, this is not for everyone. So again, this is not like an overall prescription for other individuals. I think that if you have
1,000%.
like, yeah, if you know, do this with if you have full blown social anxiety diagnosed, please do this with a professional. However, I think that just noticing in our lives some of the things that we're fearful of, and really just gently challenging them. Like, hey, am I ready to challenge this? Can I do it? Can I put myself out there in uncomfortable situations that and what can I learn from them? And it's okay
Mm-hmm.
if I don't do it. Maybe the first step is sitting at the piano that's in the union. You don't even play a
Mm-hmm.
key, and then you stand up, walk away. Right? All right,
Yeah.
awesome. That was like a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of a step forward in the right direction, and then just baby steps, baby steps, baby steps from there. And then going into it and saying, hey, you know, this is something that I could overcome.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, when you watch a podcast, right, you probably take 5 or 6 things out of 20 that resonate with you. So this isn't for everybody. This is very personalized. But for maybe to be able to communicate this in an authentic way, maybe someone could be like, oh, that is interesting. Maybe my fear is the fear of me not playing the right point at, 6-all in the tiebreaker is because there's some other factor there. And so tapping into this in all areas of life will surely help sport. And I mean, you see this with all athletes, right? The way they sleep, eat, it's all connected. I mean, you can't fake to be someone. You can for a while. It can work for a while, but eventually it'll run out. I mean, I saw a lot of kids growing up that, like I talked about the cheating and stuff, like it never lasts. It never lasts. You have to become really true, authentic, and that's when your best self, best sport will come out. And like I said, I've seen that now many, many times with many top athletes. Whether it's high school, collegiately, professional, it's pretty consistent across the board.
You've been listening to the Get Mental podcast with your host, Dave Matthews. And that was an amazing episode. I mean, Azariah is so full of wisdom, perspective. And he's probably one of the best at having optimism and contrasting that with this killer instinct. Man, if you want to hear more, I mean, I have so many other questions as well as stories that I know Azariah can offer us too from his perspective. Comment down below if you want to see an episode 2 or part 2 to that podcast. I think that it would be absolutely amazing seeing him and his journey through sports psychology, mental fitness, but also into Florida State's athletic program and the elite mindset that he has. I mean, that man is just full of wisdom. If you want to, again, comment below. We could give you a part 2 of that episode. Other than that, you can find a lot of links in the show notes and the descriptions of this podcast, so you can get in contact with him, his handles on Instagram, as well as Twitter and all the other social medias that he has. So love this. This has been absolutely amazing. We will see you next time on another episode of the Get Mental podcast. This is Dave signing off.